minutes of racing action. A 40-minute race set to have a whole lot of stuff to worry about if you are these racers. Have to worry about the pit stop. Inside your screen switched his attention to the massive pack of race cars that's going to blow his doors off and blow off the starter stand. The green flag is out, the drivers are on their way. Locked throughout this race, the grass and the gravel that lines this racetrack. It's old school, so it doesn't have a whole lot of asphalt runoff area. He's a very talented racer of his own. These two fast. They crashed very early on into this race. Look at Danny Wood at a big crash heading through turn number 1. That's chasing that turn number 4. And here we go, side-by-side racing off into the corner. This can usually end in tears. One of these drivers is going to have to back out of it. That's going to be Randall. But Monty's still allowing some room coming out of the corner. The side-by-side going up the hill through turn number 6. Spade coming out of the corner. Walker, the Canadian, in the number 96. They are banging doors, heading into the braking time for the final time. They're linked together. Going on there. That or you put a qualifying fuel load in either way. Getting a whole lot of pressure side by side with himself, and that is
now coming out of the pits. Let's see what his pit lane time is, because this is going to be very important when Yanti wins.
I don't know what to say. Oh, there's Brett Cathcart upside down. And another driver coming in. That's Jeff Jacobson upside down. Oh, boy. Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome back to the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors. This is round number 5 of the season, coming to you today from Summit Point. My name is Ron Mons, and alongside me, working the comms and the cams on today's broadcast, is Adam Thompson, with a special guest joining us in the commentary booth. That being Ray Esports and SMB's very own Stevie Ray. So welcome in, Stevie. Hope you enjoy being a part of the Madhouse for today's broadcast of what's setting up to be a really good race. After the first third of the season, we've been through a lot. We've seen 9 separate winners in our 3 classes thus far, some great racing, and also a smattering of some frayed nerves as well. Coming to a track where in the past we've seen some drivers get a bit heated, we may be in for a wild one today. So all of you tuning into this broadcast, welcome in, and we hope you enjoy today's racing action, which is set to be here at Summit Point in spades. You got that long start-finish straightaway. These drivers are going to be using that to try and overtake each other. That's going to be a really good battle. So, ready to get things up and rolling from this race. And Adam, I know you got some slight technical issues that you may be resolving at this point in time. So, want me to bring you into this broadcast, or do you want me to keep yapping for a little bit longer? Alrighty, so we'll keep it rolling here. My apologies about that, folks. Got some slight technical difficulties here. Gotta love calling up IT. They don't even give the old classic hello IT if you tried turning it off and on again anymore. They're all closed, I guess. Guess it must be snowing everywhere. No, from my experience here in the city of Philadelphia, it's the entire city has a and are we back? I think we may be back. Adam has joined us yet again here in the commentary booth, so hopefully we're still alive. I think hopefully, okay, there we go. We are still alive and ready to go. And Stevie, I think I'll bring you into the commentary booth as Adam is getting these technical issues taken care of, and ask you about this race, which is one that we saw a bit of a preview of with the Ray Esports Club Series this past Wednesday.
Yeah, it's Summit Point's always one of the standard, if you can call it that, iRacing tracks. Everybody goes through it in rookies, so Everybody is very familiar with the track, the draft, where to pass, where to get back in line, all that kind of stuff. So it really should and always does give some great racing.
Yeah, some absolutely fantastic racing. Summit Point, it's a classic in the world of American motorsports. It's a track with a lot of history to it. Pretty sure probably one of my favorite stories about Summit Point as a track is the fact that local police forces have been occasionally using Summit Point and some of the tracks around it as little bit of basis for like driver training and all that stuff, which I always find to be rather interesting. But nevertheless, Summit Point, a wonderful motorsports edifice and a track that I have a feeling that iRacing really needs to revisit in terms of scanning it again, because boy, some of this track looks that doesn't look brilliant, I will say the very least. It's looking a bit not sure the best way I could describe it. Looking a bit dusty, I guess would probably be the best way to describe it. Some of the wood around here as well, especially some of the buildings around here. The wood's probably rotted away, but Summit Point's still a wonderful track in the world of iRacing, and one that a lot of iRacers get their start on the iRacing platform as well. So there's going to be a really, really good one. Still in this qualifying session right now, and it's he's not the win. Actually, I think we'll touch on touch on that in a couple of moments' time. Oh boy. True professionalism. I have no idea what's going on at the present moment. Jason Green currently leading the Spec 1 point standings at 342 points on the board. He's had a pretty good season, and by his own standards, it's been a Jason Green season. He has yet to grab a victory thus far in the Spec 1 category. Those honors have gone to the likes of Felix Samoa, Solal Shutwi, and Elise Pleva. But Green still leading the points at the moment, so that's a pretty good result for him. Moving on now to Spec 2, where we've got a tie currently going on with Dan Witzak and Joachim Osbeck tied at 221 points. Pella Brema rounding out your top three as it stands currently. I think we'll move on to Masters, where it's much like the Formula 4s, where it's been now a 5-race blowout for Jörg Mani. It's been the past 3 races for Jörg Mani where he's won it in the Masters class, so looking pretty good for that. We'll know as well, as we still have the Spec 2 points up here, that Spec 2 been a rather hard class to pin down because we've had 4 separate winners from 4 races thus far, so really giving us a lot to talk about in that regard. Here's Masters, and it's an even 100 points between Jörg Mani and Brad Cathcart. Cathcart yet to grab a victory thus far this season. That actually the only other honor outside of Jörg Mani in terms of Masters wins going to Chris Murakami in 3rd. But Mani been very, very fast thus far this season, leading your points in the Masters category. But I think we may have gotten some of the issues taken care of here. So Adam, can we bring you into the commentary booth here?
We can, and for full transparency here, I just wanted to let you all know, Stevie, I was trying to screen share to Stevie through Discord, and it was not quite working out. As you could see, the cars jumping around on the stream, so go ahead. We had to go ahead and axe that idea, but we are going to have Stevie in here as a pit lane reporter at the very least, Ron.
Awesome to have a pit reporter here, and I think we'll ask you, Stevie, about how this track's feeling at the present moment. These drivers in this qualifying session about halfway through, and I feel like you should probably know this in terms of being the series admin, but what are a lot of these drivers' thoughts on this Summit Point racetrack?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think it's kind of a cooler day. I haven't even seen what the track temp and weather is. I kind of remember it being set up for a cooler day, so a cooler day is going to give a little more traction, and these guys will be pushing it a little bit harder, knowing that they can do that. I think the gravel won't be as quite much of it.
That was today. Yep. That was going to be my next question, Stevie. Have we figured out what's going on with the gravel around turn 2 at Summit, turn 2 at Summit Point? It just gets absolutely ridiculous through there.
Yeah, in the setup, you can have it continue to keep adding and adding and adding through the session. So by the time you get to the race, it's really bad. Or you can have it start all over for each session and clear it out. So we set it up to do that and try to do something a little different this week. So hopefully it won't be as much of an issue.
Sure. Hey, Ron, I think we got to do a lap guide here, don't we?
Yeah, I think we may end up doing that. Summit Point, it's a classic on the iRacing platform. Lots of drivers have some experience around here. Whether that's good, bad, or indifferent, I will let you racers decide. But I think we'll ride on board possibly a solo-out Shutway off the back of a win at Zolder 1 week ago in dramatic fashion with himself and Felix Sumoes. More about that later on in this broadcast. But here's the riding on board lap with Al Shutway. Oh, I thought he was going to go for the jump there a couple of moments ago, and dealing with some traffic here, and again, his doors blown off, hang down into turn number 1. Really important to get the braking right heading into that corner. It's one of the premier overtaking opportunities around the circuits with that long straightaway as well. Drafting going to be such a huge factor. Coming out there, that's turn number 1 and 2 that we just saw Shutway go through. Here's the trouble spot. Turn number 3, that gravel drop on the outside, that is prerequisite for the drivers to hit that. It feels more like an exit curb than anything else. The exit curb just feels like an extension of the track. Now downhill into the tight twisties at turn number 4. Now through the brakes into turn number 5. Dealing with asphalt about as patchy as my face when I was 13 years old is oh so tough in these race cars with suspension that's basically slightly squishy. Hockey pucks through turn number 6 and 7 right now into 8. This section really tough to try and build speed through, and make sure you don't go through here so sideways that your tires are going to be feeling like rectangles when everything is said and done. Now heading in this small little flat out blast between turns number 9 and 10. Now into turn number 10 itself, the final corner, oh so vital to get a good exit onto that start finish straightaway and complete a lap of Summit Point.
Yeah, hey, there's one more thing I want to mention here, and Stevie, this is your fault. I'm pretty sure the reason I can't screen share this is because we have 52, count them, 52 drivers on track.
Yeah, we've got a really good turnout. It's getting built back to the days when we were bumping 60 every week. So great to see these guys bumping 50 this season. It just makes, you've got somebody to race with. No matter what skill level you are in the Weekend Warriors, the back, the middle, the front, you're going to have somebody to race with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm actually looking here now. We have 54 that have qualified and 4 that have not. So we're almost bumping 60, Stevie. We're sitting at 58. If 2 more people register, that's the session right there, Stevie.
Wow, that's awesome. And it does help. I mean, you learn the traffic, and as you improve your skills, you see yourself going up through the grid and racing different people and learning, and you see yourself progressing when all that's going on as well.
Yeah, absolutely. A driver I want to talk about learning here, Ron, I'll bring you back in as well. We have Adam Bradshaw right now leading in the Masters. He's obviously a quick driver, but not only is he leading in Masters, out of the 58 car grid we have, he's sitting in 4th place overall.
Oh, that is a fantastic result from Bradshaw, but he still got some time to improve in this qualifying session, so it's not game, set, match either. Looking through, I wouldn't say it's bad, but it's probably disappointing the fact that Jorg Monty finds himself in 13th overall and 3rd of the Masters racers, as I'm not sure who that was that just pinged off the track coming out of turn number 2. They may have ended up in deeply buried into the woods, probably knocked over some poor kid's treehouse on the outside of turn number 2 around Summit Point. But still, Monty qualified now in 14th as Ben Rycroft, off the back of a Spec 2 win 1 week ago at Zolder, finds himself in lucky number P13 in the 735 car. Lots of drivers up and down the grid. I gotta say some names that I haven't seen thus far this season. Our provisional pole sitter, as it stands currently, of my live timing tower actually work here, Austin Winter in the number 32 car. Certainly going to be feeling like a winner if you can match that pace in the race that we have coming up later on. But Austin Winter,
hey, Ron.
Yep.
Yeah, Austin Winter is a champion from the Weekend Warriors from a couple of years back, I think it was. But he's very familiar with the Weekend Warriors. He's been gone for a couple of years, like I said. But he's a really good racer, really fast, and it's great to see him back.
With a name
like to see some returning names. So,
yeah.
Sorry to budge in there, Adam.
You're good. With a name like Austin Winter, he's got to be fast. I mean, his parents knew when they named, well, obviously it's a last name, but he's got a pretty cool last name. Well, I'll just say that. Austin Winter right now on the pole as well, Ron, sitting at 1:16.681. And look at those intervals up and down the field. Yes, this is an open qualifying or all-skate qualifying, if you want to call it. Learned that one, by the way, from Jason Kocher. But looking here, it's looking like all of these intervals, everything is within not even a second. I mean, all of these guys are separated by 5 1,000s, 4 1,000s, 1 1,000s, Ron.
I was just going to point that out a couple of moments ago. The gap between Dan Witzak, qualified in 21st, and Sergio Dorelli in 22nd, 0.001 of a second, only in the Weekend Warriors. Gotta love it. The gaps. I'm looking through all the stuff that we're showing right now. The biggest gap is probably the one between Soren Garrett and Jörg Monty, which is 0.034 of a second. So yeah, 34 thousandths of a second. That's a vast yawning chasm as it stands in this qualifying session right now. So absolutely amazing to see the amount of turnout. And looking at that track map on the corner, what corner on this racetrack doesn't have a car heading through it? I don't think there's a single one.
No, there isn't. And I've got to get that pulled up here real quick, Ron. I'm actually, because of the amount of drivers that decided to bombard the iRacing server, I'm going in here and I'm having to add a few drivers into the override. So, Ron, I'm going to let you do your thing, do what you do best, and talk for just a minute.
Yapping people's ears off. That Chatty Cathy string still stuck to the doorknob in my room, so thankfully you'll be having to, thankfully or unthankfully, fortunately or unfortunately, you'll have to deal with my voice for a little bit as we bring this qualifying session to a close. Only 20 seconds left to go, and I'm waiting to see if there's any drivers who will try and challenge winner to be the winner in this qualifying session. See what I did there?
Yes,
that was terrible.
good.
I apologize. Solal Shutwi currently qualified at P2. Al Shutwi's been the only driver in the Spec 1 category thus far this season to grab multiple wins. As we see that parking lot there, I just saw that in the corner of my eye with, I believe that was Jason Green and Trent Kramer parked up by the hill by the real-life commentary booth here at Summit Point Raceway. I want to ask you real quick about Solal Shutwi, Stevie, because he's been around the block over the past couple of seasons, but here for Season 1 of 2025, he has really hit the ground running.
He really has. I think he got his feet wet towards the end of last season, and then it looks like he's really committed and come on this season. Like you said, a fairly new name, but really, really showing. I wanted to mention Daniil Manikoff is another one, like Austin Winter has come back. I think Boris was going to make his debut this week as well from Formula Fords.
Yeah, I think he's in here. There's quite a few drivers in here, and I'm trying to get through them all. Ron, have fun with the grid, my friend. And Stevie, I hope you did not make this a short pace lap, because we're going to need all the time we can get. Looking at qualifying here, just about to end.
I think you got it.
I think what I may end up needing
Whoa!
is like an entire... Oh, and that
was Jason Perry going for a ride.
Yeah, he up, and I think we may have some drivers going into the parking lot up, and they just got yoinked back, so no harm, no foul there. But that was Jason Perry setting himself off into low Earth orbit. Oh, and there we go, some more jumpers I could just see in the back of shot as we're following Arnold in the number 17 car head his way down the start-finish straightaway. Will we see another jumper? Let's wait and see. Nope, he is not going to be taking the jump. I will say as well, the runoff area of turn 1, there's a small little gap in the concrete and tire barriers in the runoff area of turn 1, and if you judge it right, you can just ping in between the two barriers, find yourself in the parking lot, and then immediately get your way back to pit lane. So pretty good way. If you're not having a very good start to the lap, you can just immediately go back to pit lane. So some drivers may end up using that in the race if they're having a really bad one, but hopefully we're going to be having a good one here. I'm sure this race is going to be hectic. May God have mercy on all of our graphics cards. Thank God we have a full formation lap, and I think for comedy's sakes, I'll try and handle this entire starting grid. I may be a masochist, who knows. Austin Winter in the number 32 car, the Ohio man, making his Weekend Warriors comeback. He's going to be starting this race here at Summit Point from the pole. Solal Shutwi off the back of a win at Zolder 1 week ago will find himself on that front row. Felix Samoas is involved in that brilliant finish with himself and Al Shutwi 1 week ago. He's going to be starting right behind in third. Adam Bradshaw, the Masters pole sitter, will be starting P4 overall. Yanchi Lin in fifth. Lincoln Fox in sixth. Then we have Jason Green starting this race in seventh. Matt Thompson in the 433 car, taking the Spec 2 pole, going to be starting this race from the eighth starting spot. Brad Cathcart, the Aussie, in the 905 car, will be fittingly in ninth. Then we have Daniel Maniakov rounding out your top 10. The first group of 10 cars of nearly 6 that we've got here. May God have mercy on my vocal cords. Trent Kramer, the number 20 car, will find himself starting this race in 11th. Joachim Osbeck, the Swede in the 210, will be in 12th. Antonio Reese in 13th. Ben Rycroft in P14. York Monty in 15th. Soren Garretts in 16th. Paul Regoli will find himself in 17th at the start of this race. The Brazilian of Flavio Andallo in P18. SMB's very own Joshua Wilkie will be starting this race in 19th next to Daniel Salmon. Rounding out your top 20. Jason Perry will find himself starting in 21st. Dan Witzak will find himself...
I don't want to cut you off because I know you got to go, but shout out to Joshua Wilkie, one of the drivers in the Ray Esports slow motion broadcasting Ferrari GTP that we finished last night, and Joshua up and at this race. So he didn't have enough of big grids. He wants to get another one here.
Yeah, shout out to all you guys. Yeah, shout out to all you guys for doing that awesome race last night.
I don't envy Wilkie or you as well, Adam. I don't envy all of y'all's sleeping schedules because I thought mine was bad. Ooh, boy. Jason Perry, though, in 21st. Dan Witzak in 22nd. Sergio Dorelli in 23rd. Lucas Clement running at your top 24. We'll have another page to go through. That starts with Jacob Kachik in the 242 car. Chris Murakami will start alongside him on the 13th row. Tom Gradwell in 27th. Scott Russell in 28th. Josh Arnold in P29. Jim Brewster in 30th. Marcus Burkett starting in 31st, Avenger Dantas in 32nd, Jesus Rodriguez in 23rd, Charlie Vaccaro in, did I just say 23rd? 33rd will be Jesus Rodriguez. Charlie Vaccaro in 34th.
Keep it up, Ron. You're almost there.
Daniel Wood. Yeah, we're almost there. We're making progress. We're about halfway through. Daniel Wood in 34th. Kevin Boland in 36th. Starting this race in 37th will be Michael Nelson. Yeah, thank God we've got a full lap. I would have a conniption otherwise. Michael Nelson in 37th. 8 Allen in 38th. Claudio Gradini in 39th. Derek Putnam in 40th. Paul Jackson in 41st. Phil Berry in 42nd. Paolo Brema in the 555 car will be starting this race in 43rd. Next to Andrew Love in the 544, starting this race in P44. Guido Marzuki in 45th. Mario Kremser in 46th. Stephen Mitchell in 47th. Brad Gould, who I haven't seen in quite some time. He's going to be starting this race in 48th. Jan Janschik will be starting in 49th. Michelle Lynn in 50th. Holy cow. Michelle Vlaglini in 51st. Ken Poulin in 52nd. Benjamin Fultz in 53rd. Patrick Farragher in 54th. Andre Favini in 55th. Russell Telker in 56th. Hayden Bradley in 57th. Boris Essman starting this race in the 58th starting spot. And we got through all of them before they made their way off into turn number 5.
Woo!
Congrats, Ron.
Unbelievable.
I'll help you with one of them. It's Daniil Manikoff is the pronunciation for that one. And like I said, good guy, old friend from the old days. Good to see him back. Brad Gould is a SCCA SRF racer now. He started with us in the Weekend Warriors and got his license. So good to see him on track with us back again.
I'm trying to get I'm trying to find Daniil in this crazy list of drivers here so we can actually show them on screen. And we'll get there eventually. But Ron, have you taken a drink of water? You got yourself a cough drop? We're going to be, the green flag will be dropping here very soon. Oh, we've got Edgar Sanchinelli in the chat as well saying Matt Thompson. I knew that name. Matt Thompson from Frito Sports sitting here in 8th place.
Go.
Yeah, there we go. That's a really good start for the Frito Sport team. Go Frito. I'm sure Edgar Sanchinelli going to be cheering on his team cars, but ready to get things up and rolling from the 5th race of the season. We've got 58 cars. The green flags and the drivers are on their way. And Austin Winter in the number 32 car getting a brilliant start. He's going to be leading them comfortably heading off into turn number 1, unless the pack behind has anything to say about it. Felix Samoa is getting off to a good start as well. Jumping up to P2, trying to get moved on Solal Shutway heading off into turn 1 and close enough to get that move done even through the braking zone side by side. And some 3 wide action a little bit farther in the back. The field is still heading their way through turn number 1. And that's a big amount of smoke coming out of the corner. I think someone just got turned. That's a big crash coming out of the corner. Nelson involved in that action as well. And more drama, a big crash, multiple cars coming to blows, heading through turn number 3. Some body parts coming up in the air, both the ones from the drivers and the ones from the cars. Massive drama heading through turn number 3, and more drama going on heading off into 5.
Guys, my GPU is dying right now. Please stand by. We'll let everything Yeah, the timing tower is lighting up, so let everything kind of settle down here, and then we will get to some incidents here in just 1 second. Looks like things have settled down, Ron. We'll get back to those incidents right now, though. Austin Winter still sitting in the lead. Felix Samoes right behind him with Sul Al-Shootwi sitting in third. Yanchi Lin in fourth. Yanchi having a much better showing, as I said that, as he almost goes off so far than he did at Spa a couple weeks ago. Trenton Kramer in fifth with Jason Green rounding out your top 7.
Yeah, Adam's balls shot there a couple of moments ago. That's a big crash coming out of turn number 10. A car backwards. That, I think, may have been Adam Bradshaw from the lead in Masters. Yes, it is. I can see that car now rejoining the racetrack well down the running order. That's going to take him out of contention big time. Some side-by-side racing heading off into turn 1. Tom Gradwell, the 909 car, currently running 4th of the Masters competitors as it stands at the moment, with some damage on the back end of that car as well.
Yeah, that is not a great showing. We've got a bunch of stuff to get through here. Let's let everything try to single file out here, and I don't know if it ever will with this amount of people or this amount of cars on the grid. Jorg Mani, though, sitting here battling right now, and it looks like Antonio Reese, Brad Cathcart, and Jorg Mani are all in a battle right now for the Masters class win at the moment. We're only 2 minutes into this race.
Yeah, barely into this race, and we already got a whole lot of battling. Gotta say, Matt Thompson, the 433 car, the current Spec 2 leader, getting involved in this Masters battle. So we may end up seeing that decide the fate of these racers. Antonio Reese has yet to grab a victory thus far this season in the Masters category here from the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors. But Stevie, as you can certainly attest to, Reese is quick.
Yeah, he always is. He runs up front. Unfortunately, it's not as consistent as he'd like. I know there's mistakes made or something, and he's either up front or something happens and he's gone. So hopefully he can hang in there today and give Monty a run for his money.
And let's see, those two are basically teammates at this point in time. I gotta say, I think going through that starting grid may have burned me, because I think I heard a voice crack from me a couple of moments ago. I apologize for that. Flavio Dallo rejoining the racetrack on the 145 car just went off the track through turn number 1, dropping down to 26th. And I will bring back a point we mentioned, talking about Brad Gould in the 197 car. Nice to see him back out on the track. He used to run in the Tuesday night Ray Esports series that was broadcasted with a different broadcaster that we will not mention by name. But nice to see him back out on the track. Been a little while since I called a race with him, but he's quick, so really nice to see him back out on the circuit.
He is.
The paint that he's got on his car is what Morgan Burkhart used that car and was in the SCCA runoffs, and then Brad used that same car to go to driver school. So that's actually the same paint scheme that Brad used on track at the Real World at Summit Point.
I gotta say, interestingly enough, that we bring up Morgan Burkhart, an IMSA driver and a Ray Esports / Weekend Warriors standout star in the past. He really just cut his teeth around this track, so nice to see a car that he drove around this very racetrack being driven by a different driver, and we wish Morgan the best as the IMSA season kicks off this week. But side-by-side racing all throughout this field, following Michelle Lynn in the number 244 car. She's gotten off to a very good start. She started this race, it's so absolutely insane to say this, she started this race in 50th. She's running in 31st. Usually think, okay, running in 31st, that's not a good race. No, she's made up 19 spots since the drop of the green flag, which actually isn't the highest of the field thus far, as Andre Favini, I think right behind her, has pipped her to that claim, making 23 spots up thus far. But still, the grid that we've got for this race, absolutely insane.
Michelle Lynn sitting here right now doing a great job. She stole my number, and she's stealing positions in that 244 car. That is an unbelievable car number, by the way, Michelle. Probably the best car number I've ever seen. Absolutely no bias whatsoever. Michelle doing a great job. Andrea Favini back here as well. Like you mentioned, up 23 positions, so we got to keep an eye on that. We've got Patrick Farragher up 20 as well. A lot of these drivers up a bunch of positions. Looking here through the field, the battle is still raging at the front as well. This is absolutely no space between Sul Al-Shootwi, Felix Amos, Austin Winter, excuse me. Oh, there's Daniel. Well, Danil, we were trying to find him. Danil Maniakov. My goodness, I'm trying here, guys. Maniakov is sitting in 4th position right now, up 6 spots from the start, Ron. He's there.
Yeah,
he's a past champion. Yeah, he's a past champion of the Weekend Warrior, so don't count him out.
Yeah, certainly can't. Oh boy, I can't even speak now. I think going through 58 starters before the drop of the green flag may have killed off any remaining brain cells that I have. But the driver of the 176 car certainly proving himself to be a worthy adversary at this point in time. Got a lot of heavy hitters at the front of the field. Now Shutby and Samoa's already winners thus far. You got Winner, fittingly enough, right behind in third. Manikov running in fourth at the moment, and Yanchi Lin in the number 30 car appeared on the Racing Line podcast a couple of weeks ago, which you can catch every single Tuesday night over on the Ray Esports YouTube channel, but running in fifth at the moment and causing this front pack fight to actually break away from Trent Kramer behind the sixth.
Yeah, I mean, really, Yanchi Lin is kind of, not, I wouldn't say the cork in this bottle. He's the one that's keeping at least Trenton somewhat close. Trenton might be in enough. Well, not anymore. He was close enough to Yanchi to be able to pull a little bit of draft, but Yanchi has pulled back up to the back of Danil. So this is now turned into a two-car battle. Jason Green sitting back there in seventh place. Shout out to Jason, another one of the drivers in the Daytona 24 for the Slow Motion Broadcasting Ray Esports entry. So great to see Jason back out on the track. We saw him in the Formula Fords as well, and he is starting right in the middle, the sandwich in the middle of the second pack, Ron.
And we got the meat in the sandwich, and these drivers hoping
That's
not to get burned by the griddle that they're on. So that was a really bizarre phrase. I feel like I genuinely need some food after this broadcast is done with the amount of food-related phrases I've said thus far. Oh boy, Stevie, how's the food looking on pit lane?
Hey, we're doing good. I don't see anybody running the pits yet, but it's still a little early. My calculations always are right around about the 10-minute point when the pit lanes are going to open up. So we got a couple of laps to go before. Are we going to see Antonio Reese pop in first like he's been doing?
Yeah, that's one thing that I wanted to mention. He did that last race in the Formula Fords, but Antonio may have had some bigger issues than what we saw because he did come in early. He came in around that 11-minute mark. Lincoln Fox with the fastest lap right now, who is sitting right behind Antonio Reese. But Antonio did come in early, but he ended up not finishing that race. We'll see what happens here, and we do have to say with Summit Point, Ron, is it's a bit drafty, so you've got to try to time coming into the pits to come back out with someone. Try to be similar on pace because you don't really want to battle him because you see what's happening here at the front now. Trenton Kramer now 1.5 seconds behind Yanchi Lin. So the draft battle, it really is the battle.
I think in terms of the discussion that we usually bring up, whether it be on the Formula Ford or the Spec Racer Ford broadcast here every single weekend on Slow Motion Broadcasting for the Weekend Warriors series, is the fact that Summit Point is the track where that discussion about where you exit out the pits, it's the track where that discussion is cranked up to such a high degree. I mean, looking through some of the racetracks we've been to thus far, the only one that could probably hold a candle to it in terms of how important it is to come out of pit lane not involved in a giant Hornets test and actually picking up the draft from a car would probably be Spa a couple of weeks ago, and we remember how interesting of a race that was, for lack of a better term. But I think this race here today probably going to be a bit more tame than we saw at Spa a couple of weeks ago. That run to the checkered flag, though, I am bracing myself for a 2 and maybe even 3 wide photo finish at the end of this 40-minute long race, as we got some more drivers taking the rally line coming out of turn 10, and the side-by-side fight involving Clement in the number 201 car, getting a move done on Scott Russell heading off into the corner as Chris Murakami and Soren Garrett's battle right behind.
Now, quick question here, Stevie. Number 201, Lucas Clement, is he supposed to be Spec 1 or is that supposed to be a Spec 2 driver?
I cannot tell you for sure. I haven't checked him. I'm not that familiar. I think he's a Spec 2, but don't hold me to it. We'll have to clear that up after the race. Sorry about that.
All right, well, here's what we'll do. I'll go ahead and get that changed. So Lucas Clement right now is actually in a bit of a battle here for the Spec 2 win with Matt Thompson and Dan Witzak. Dan Witzak is right in front of Lucas Clement right now. So, yeah, this is a battle for second place in class if this is correct. Obviously, car number 201 should be Spec 2. We will get that cleared up. But, yeah, looking at Lucas Clement right now in a battle kind of for second place with Dan Witzak. Witzak is about 2 seconds ahead of him, Ron.
Yeah, and there's going to be a really hard-fought fight in all of the classes that we have, but Spec 2 is probably the one I'm keeping my most amount of attention on. I kind of said earlier on in this broadcast, the fact that we've had 4 separate winners thus far in the Spec 2 category here in only 4 races from Season 1 of 2025 here from the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors, looking to try and continue that streak if push comes to shove. Thompson holding on to it at the present moment, running 12th overall, and I'm trying to do the math in my head. He'd find himself about 4 seconds up the road to Witzak and Lemon, so we may... Clement, my apologies there. So who knows? We may end up seeing that streak continue all throughout the season. That would be a sight to behold as well. Looking through, we've had Aaron Vogel, Soren Garrett, Daniel Salmon, and Ben Rycroft take all of the Spec 2 checkered flags thus far this season. Matt Thompson would continue on that trend of different winners. I'm looking through to try and see what is the highest placed winner thus far this season. I believe it would be Soren Garrett in the Spec 2 category. He's currently class 4th of the Spec 2 racers, but he's well farther back of this man Thompson. So that would be a big hill to climb if he wants to make it up to the front, Stevie.
Yeah, I just verified Clement is Spec 2, so there's your battle.
There it is. So he has been changed in the overrides as well. So this is actually a battle that's going on, but Lucas really is starting to lose that pack, Ron, and this is something that we're going to keep talking about over this whole 40-minute race, which, by the way, already 12 have gone by, is this battle. And when you've got drivers battling like this, great racing. Draft tracks do allow for great racing, but they also allow for pack breakaways.
I'd like to throw in something else, guys, that you were talking about pit and pit exit. With this many cars, you take a pit, you're going to come out in the middle of a hornet's nest no matter when.
And we do have to mention the exit of the pit is not very close to turn 1, but it could cause some issues as well on the exit. It's not Lime Rock-esque, but it is somewhat close. So keep an eye when drivers start coming out of the pits. If you've got someone battling 2, 3 wide down that front straight, could cause some issues.
Yeah, I think some issues that these drivers are certainly going to be keeping in mind is that discussion about what to do if you find yourself in a really intense battle, as a lot of these racers are doing. One driver, though, that I think ran into issues a couple of moments ago may have been Jörg Mani. He was running solidly inside the top 20. Now he's just barely running inside the top. Whoa, boy, that was a trippy look. As Mani there, you can see it was the 48 car that he came to blows with heading off through turn number 1, trying to see that was a 48 of Lincoln Fox, who's actually coming, I believe Lincoln Fox has a black flag next to their name, so it may have been some sort of penalty that Fox has been occurred to. But nevertheless, some small incidental contact with Jörg Mani, so that's going to drop him down the running order a little bit. As we got some racers coming down pit lane, Paul Jackson is one of them in the 249 car running down in 44th. Lots of racers making that early call to come into the pit. So, Stevie, I think, strangely enough, well, since you're not out there on the racetrack, it's usually Antonio Reese that's a trendsetter of bringing the cars down to pit lane, but doesn't look like Reese is going to be fulfilling that role either, as some more drivers farther in the back are coming in.
Yeah, we're at the 13, almost 14-minute mark, past that now, so the pit window is definitely open. Your little draft, and it can extend that window a little bit, but yeah, we're definitely in the pit window now.
Yeah, that's something I want to talk about, Stevie. You obviously have driven these SRFs a lot more than I have. When it comes to fuel saving, especially in the Weekend Warriors, if you have a draft, how much does that equate to? Can you win or lose a race if you try to fuel save behind, say right now, you're Yanchi Lin sitting in 5th place. If he's lifting and coasting here in this draft pack behind him, can he jump those top 4 in the pits?
Most definitely, especially Yonksi. He's known to fuel save a little better than anybody else for some reason. And if anybody can do it, Yonksi can save enough and take just a little less in the pits, and he can jump up there coming out. Look for that after the pit exit.
And back to you, Ron.
Well, get back to the discussion. Bring the loudmouth gingered back into the commentary booth here at this point in time. Yanchi Lin in that number 30 car, certainly proving that he will be a formidable force throughout the rest of this race. And hey, we still got a lot of this race left to go. 15 and a half minutes in, so doing the quick math in my head, 24 and a half minutes left on that 40-minute long clock. These racers starting to deal with some traffic as well, and I'm looking through to see how these race cars are looking at the present moment. Occasionally bring this up in terms of the drafting and how important it is in these Spec Racer Ford races. Got to worry about keeping your car clean as Yanxi Lin got to try and get a clean move done down the inside of Manikov, heading off into turn number 1 side by side. That is some sketchy stuff between those two. They don't want to go side by side for too long. You can immediately see that gap balloon between Winner running in 3rd and Manikov running in 4th. And Yanxi Lin unsuccessful in getting that move done, but surprisingly so, not going to hurt them too much, Adam.
No, it's not. Yanxi made the correct call there to hop back in line, let Danil get back up to those drivers, and they can try it again a little bit later. Keep in mind, we're only 16 minutes into this race, so there is plenty of time for the battling up at the front. And speaking of plenty of time, let's talk about Matt Thompson sitting right now, again, still leading in Spec 2. Dan Witzak is Matt Thompson. See, this is why we don't do this. We commentators curse him. Matt Thompson gets loose, holds on to it, though, and still in that pack.
And just lost out on a little bit of time, though, so it's not about 2 seconds and no cars outside the lap car between them, so you can play me like a fiddle. Thompson, though, still holding on to the Spec 2 lead as it stands at the moment, holding on to the final top 10 overall spot in the process as well. Felix Samoa's. Oh, and okay, here we go. We got a side-by-side fight up towards the front, but also a fight for the fastest lap. This is something that I have only seen.
I've never seen this.
And I've seen it once here, Adam, and it was actually with this series, the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors, when it was broadcasted with a different broadcaster, a tie in terms of the fastest lap of the race. Samoa's and Winner holding on to it both. I think they said at the same time, too, going to a 117.202. I think they both did that on their last lap, and the chances of that happening, looking through, yeah, it was on the same lap as well. So the chances of something like that happening on iRacing, probably the chances of finding a living T-Rex. That is absolutely amazing. But Stevie, only happens in the series that you're covering.
Yeah, I've got to actually send this to Stevie real quick and ask him, how do you do this? Is it who sets the fastest lap first? Is it who finishes? How does the point pay out, the bonus points that you get for the fastest lap here, Stevie?
I think it's set up for the next fastest lap. You know, the tiebreaker would be whoever has the second fastest between those two.
What if they set it at the same time?
We'll have to see how the scoring breaks down, but I think the tiebreaker would be whoever had the second fastest, not the tie, you know, who didn't. If they did it the same lap, then that's one thing. And then what is the next fastest lap below that?
Got it. Okay. Well, that's going to be an interesting statistics. But looking here, I'm starting to realize, Ron, that these drivers are starting to take quite a bit of liberty of being a lot more brave than I would be. They are dropping wheels off in most of these corners. The exit of the final corner is one. We just saw them go through as well. Getting some wheels up into that sand trap there.
Yeah, I think these racers are certainly feeling a bit more experimental now that we've got a good groove going into this race. 19 minutes now on the clock. These racers feeling more confident than they ever have thus far. They're feeling confident in the way their cars are driving. They're feeling confident in the way they can tackle the track. But at this point, we are going to start to think about these drivers coming down pit lane. We've seen that slow trickle of cars coming into the pits, but we really need to bring it up in terms of the drivers up the front, because we're 30 seconds away from hitting that halfway mark, so we got to bring up this discussion. And whenever it comes to a discussion of drivers in a front pack fight coming into pit lane, we always have to ask the question, will they come into the pits together, or are they going to come in a little bit spread apart, Adam?
Well, I would assume, I can't sit in these drivers' heads right now, but the one thing you don't want to do is lose this pack, so you're going to want to come in with at least one other person, or hope that if you do come in and you're off strategy, that you can come out. See, this is when it gets weird, because you want to be in the draft of somebody, but you don't want to be in the draft of somebody that's slower. You don't want to get held up. So, Ron, I don't know. Stevie, maybe you can answer this question. What's the best pit strat here?
I think you get an idea of when you want to pit, and then, like you said, you just hope that somebody else goes with you, or you follow somebody else in about the same time that you were wanting to go, and at least have one partner. You come out by yourself in this madhouse of so many cars, and you're going to get behind some slower cars and get slowed down.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are still sitting. We have a few drivers that have. Nope. Yeah, we've got a few. We're down to 54 drivers. A few drivers have decided not to take it, but yeah, we're still sitting at plus over the 50 driver mark here, and we've got a battle. It's not really a battle. It looks like a lap car of Benjamin Foltz trying to get out of the way. Yanshi Lin going for a move down the inside into turn 1.
Yeah, Yanshi tried to go for this move, but they blow apart heading down into the corner, and all of them go off the track. Look at that. Austin Winter off the track. Felix Samoa's off as well. They blew apart heading down into the corner. I figured that they're going to be keeping it clean and maybe starting to dip their toes in the water in terms of going for some moves off into turn number 1, but I certainly wasn't expecting that. Yanshi Lin now in essentially the uncontested lead of this race. He's now got a 2.5 second gap between himself and Felix Samoa's. What in the world happened there?
All right, we're going to have to go back and see if we can get another view of this. This was unbelievable. So we're watching Felix Samoa's right now. Let's see what happens with Felix. All right, we're going to have to watch this one more time here and see who was that got into the back. Was that of Winner? Was that Winner?
Winner lost it, I think.
It was just a checkup. It looks like Winner went in. 1 second. We'll watch it from Winner's point of view here.
I think it all started, honestly, I think it started off with a Manakov. There you could see it was a clunk. What happened there was around a bowling, at least from the points of view that I've gone to take a look at thus far. I think what happened was Manakov went deep on the brakes heading into turn number 1. He then trying to find any sort of way to make up some time as he was going side by side with Yanshi Lin. I think what happened there is then he ran into the back of Solal Shutwi, who ran into the back of Winner, who then got spun and took out Felix Samoa's in the process. That was 4 cars coming to blows, a game of bowling. Not even a game of bowling. I think that was a round of pool a couple of moments ago, and sadly those drivers, different kind of pool, but they all drowned.
One more replay here. I want to watch it from Yanshi's onboard because I bet you this is going to be something to behold.
Let's take a look at
Yanshi was really sitting in the rocking chair on that one, just watching.
Wow. Everyone clears off to the left. Yanshi says, "Thank you very much. I'm out of here."
That right there, I think, was the textbook definition of watching the C's part for Yanshi Lin. I mean, he was trying to get that move done on Manakov heading off into turn 1, and then I was thinking, yeah, is this going to be a successful move? Who knows? And then bang, the entire field blows apart as we actually see Manakov in that 176 car make that decision to come down into the pits. I'm curious if he will be joined by some of the other cars involved in that incident. Did they tow? I'm looking through.
None of them
see
did.
where some of them are. I'm looking through right now. Where are they?
So I'm looking here. Obviously, Felix Samoa's got out of that okay. Obviously, Manakov got through it, but yes, the rest of them are, yeah, they found their ways a little further back than they expected to be.
I'm trying to see exactly where they are on the racetrack at the moment. Felix Samoa is still finding himself in P2 and all that drama, and Samoa's looking to try and grab his second win, and he has been threateningly close to grabbing a second win throughout the season. Won the season opener at Bathurst, nearly won it at Spa a couple of weeks ago, but then sadly it was contact with himself and eventual winner Elise Pleva that caused him to lose that race. And then, in possibly the most heartbreaking finish I've ever covered in my time as an iRacing broadcaster, Samoa's was leading them heading through the final chicane at Zolder 1 week ago, but picked up a slowdown coming to take the checkered flag and had to concede that spot and the win to Solal Shutwi. But Samoa's, he's fast. I've covered many races with Felix Samoa's, and interestingly enough, he was a driver in the first ever Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors broadcast that I covered, which, by the way, folks, had 58 cars as well, so some weird circularity going on there. But Samoa's, this is going to be a really good race for him if he can reel in that gap between himself and Yanshi Lin. It hasn't ballooned yet, Stevie, but it's still maintaining about the same.
Yeah, I would. I'd have to put my money on Yangtze because, like we were talking earlier, Yangtze is known to save a little more fuel than anybody else and have a little quicker pit time than anybody else. So I think this is Yangtze's race to lose now.
We're 25 minutes into this race, and because this was a 58-car field at the beginning, down to 54 now, they are already starting to get into traffic, Ron. Michelle Lynn is next up on Yancey's list to dispatch to put one lap down here, and this is going to be a story for the rest of the race. So keep an eye on the lap traffic because this could get very interesting, and this is the only way, I believe, at this point, that Yanqi Lin loses it. Felix Samoa is into the pit lane.
Yeah, the strategy is the only thing that can really decide the fate for these two racers, considering the gap they have on the track at the moment. Doubly so now since Samoa is making that run to come into the pits. That's going to give P2 to Antonio Reese, who we haven't really talked about too much as of late. He is leading it in the Masters category, running P2 overall. Have to go back to find Brad Cathcart, who's also coming to the pits, along with Chris Murakami, to find the next Masters competitors. Antonio Reese going to be staying out. As it stands currently, we've got a 1-2-3 with the Spec 1 man of Yanqi Lin leading it overall. Antonio Reese, the leader in Masters, running in P2, and Matt Thompson in third. And it should be noted at this point in time, to anyone who hasn't tuned into one of these Weekend Warriors broadcasts before, these drivers are not scored and not awarded points by their class position. They're awarded points by their overall position. So that's another thing to talk about in terms of a Masters driver who may end up in second. They're not just going to get like a couple of points in front of their Masters rival. The gap right now between Cathcart and Reese would result in a big points gain for Reese if this current running order remains the same to the checkered flag, which it certainly won't, considering we do have pit stops. But you got to draw like some examples whenever you can find them.
Yeah, absolutely. And while we have a bit of a break in the action here, Stevie, I don't think of anybody else that could be better at talking about the sponsor for today's race. That's going to be Bobby West from West Tech Esports. Decided actually to sponsor last week's race. We didn't get to it, Stevie, so tell us a bit about Bobby West.
Yeah, Bobby's been a great guy, great supporter of the Weekend Warriors and what we've done for so many years. He has sponsored races. He's been one of my admin helpers. He helped me do this, what was it, the three-peat challenge or whatever we did a couple years ago. And just, he's been a steadfast Weekend Warrior for so long. I've been so thankful to have Bobby around, and for him to sponsor some of our races is just amazing. So huge shout out to Bobby. Sorry we didn't get you on your birthday last week, Bobby, but happy birthday, bud. I think he said it was his 40th. So not saying anything. Yeah, not saying anything, but happy special birthday, Bobby. And looking forward to having you around many more years, bud. Thanks a lot.
So, and one more question while we're on the topic of Bobby West before we get back to the racing here. The guy on screen right now, Jason Green, actually mentioned something to me. Bobby sounds like he is kind of involved in at least iRacing. Does he make the schedules? I could be wrong. Does he make the schedules for the official races for iRacing for the Spec Racer Ford?
Yeah, he kind of heads up that effort and gets input from everybody in the community or anybody that wants to share, and puts out some surveys and everything. So he does a lot of work on the official side for the Spec Racing community as well. So we're really thankful to have him around.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, happy belated birthday, Bobby. I apologize. Sergio Dorelli in the pits. Yeah, look at my timing. I didn't even mean to do that, Ron. But Sergio Dorelli into the pits. Austin Winter, I found him on track. He was back in 18th. He did have to go into the pits. He's back up into 6th, but the gap right now between 6th place and 1st place, Ron, is around 14 seconds.
Yeah, strangely enough, considering we saw that massive pack of race cars at the start, as we see Manikov go off the track, hang into turn number 1, brief little lockup of that inside front tire, no harm, no foul, outside of one lost position, but still, complete contrast to what we saw earlier on in the race. That field blowing apart into turn number 1 has allowed this man, Yanqi Lin, to pull out to a comfortable lead. I say comfortable, 1.6, teetering around that 1.6 to 1.8 second barrier. That's about as big of a gap that you can usually get in one of these Spec Racer Ford races, but it's also teetering around that area where Samoa's if Lynn has some sort of off-track excursion, Samoas would be in the catbird seat to either A, get into the draft, or B, end up overtaking Yanchi Lin altogether. It's looking like these two are going to be the ones that we have to talk about in terms of battling for the win.
Here's something I want to mention as well. If you look ahead, and speaking of looking ahead, there's a driver coming out of the pits right there. That's Paul Jackson. Felix Samoa is trying to get a bit of a slipstream off of him. But if you look forward to Ben Rycroft, and if you look at that paint job for Ben Rycroft, we can actually go to Ben Rycroft right now. Ben Rycroft has the exact same looking paint job as Felix Samoa's does. Does that mean that they're teammates? And if that does mean that they're teammates, what can Ben Rycroft do here that is still legal in the iRacing / Weekend Warriors League rules and playbook to be able to hold Yanchi up just enough to at least get Felix back into that slipstream? Nope, looks like Ben just lets him go.
A pretty good sportsmanship there from Rycroft off the back of a win in the Spec 2 category last time out at Zolder, and looking not to offend anyone with some stuff. We'll say, though, talking about a tie that we had, that has now been broken up as Adam Bradshaw coming in and taking the fastest lap of the race at a 1 minute 17.118, so crisis averted. Won't have to break out the other rule book and the contingencies to break up that tie. Bradshaw, I gotta wonder here, Stevie, how Bradshaw would have done in this race. Showed a lot of pace, but got involved in an incident earlier on. Adam Bradshaw, a quick Masters driver, and certainly proving that with the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, it's a shame that he went out earlier. Adam has really upped his pace over the last season or two, and again, he's one of the long-term core Weekend Warriors that's been around since the beginning, I think, which goes back almost 10 years ago, so great to see him up front in the Masters category.
Really nice to see him up towards the front, but currently looking through, it's third, fourth, fifth.
Yeah,
sixth,
what could have been for Adam? That's a shame.
Well, what could have been for Adam is what might be for Antonio Reese at this point, sitting up in 4th place in the Masters, Ron. He is maybe, hopefully, Stevie mentioned consistency. There have been some anvils that have fallen, not just on Michelle Lynn, but also on Antonio Reese, especially in the Spec Racer Fords, sitting in 4th place overall. And his closest Masters competitor right now is Brad Cathcart. So it's looking like, not going to say too much, looking like Antonio Reese might have a chance here.
I gotta say, one good thing that these drivers may be happy about is the fact the helicopter anvil removal service that's always pervading these drivers is shut down for the day. So that could be a good reason why a lot of drivers haven't been struck by them yet. Keyword being yet. I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch. We still got about 7 minutes left to go in this race. We'll mention, though, speaking of the number 7, the driver running in P7, Claudio Gradini. Holy cow, 32 positions gained from Claudio. That is a brilliant drive from him.
Yeah, he's doing a great job right now from basically the back of the, well, like you said, 32. So not quite the back of the field, but it would be the back of the field in what I would consider a normal Weekend Warriors race. But it sounds like this used to be the normal Weekend Warriors race. But yes, Claudio Gardini up 32 spots. I honestly, a lot of that has to do with attrition and dodging all of the Spec Racer Fords that were pointed not the correct direction on track. So Claudio has done a great job getting through all of the traffic, all of the wrecks. Daniel Wood, another one, up 20 positions, Ron.
Yeah, lots of drivers putting on a really good drive, and I will say, have we counted our chickens before they hatched? Talking about Gardini, my apologies, being a hard charger. Andre Favini in 18th is up 37 spots unless my eyes are failing me at the worst possible time. So we may have been played like a fiddle because the driver, the number 27 car, up 37 positions. And he's still got room to improve as well. We've got Klimpin right in front of him and Flavio Andallo involved in that fight as well. Favini, a very fast racer in this series, Stevie, and certainly proving that here at Summit Point.
Yeah, he's done that a lot recently. Start at the back for whatever reason and go through the field and climb up. But 37 positions, I mean, blowing our own horn for the Weekend Warriors, but how many other leagues and races can you climb 37 positions? So awesome to see this happening. You know, I'm so proud of what the weekend warriors do week in and week out here.
Well, Favini and Bradshaw almost had a coming together there in turn one, but it was okay. Everyone got through it. Favini now up 37 positions, still up 37 positions, I guess we should say. But yes, that is something to be said. And also, speaking of, all of these drivers, now Favini, well, I thought he was going to be up 38. There was a driver off track. I think that was Derek Putnam. But I kind of lost my train of thought, but I'm back here as we've got Favini and Bradshaw still battling. So Favini, it looks like, has finally found his way up into a point where he probably should have been from the start of the race. Bradshaw giving him a run for his money.
Yeah, side-by-side hang through turn number 8. Now into 9, they single file out with a couple of inches separating those two cars as they finally single file out. That was some close quarters racing between those two, actually allowing Andallo to pull away a teeny tiny bit. Now 1.2 seconds between the cars of Andallo and Bradshaw. Who knows, though, come time for the checkered flag, we may see that gap diminish yet again. Only 4 minutes left on the clock for this 40-man long race. It has flown by with lots of drivers giving us some fantastic fights all throughout the field. Here's another driver, the 260 of Russell Telker, running in 30th. We need to get clearance as whether or not he prefers Russ or Russell, but nevertheless, Russell Telker running in 30th as it stands currently. Just saw Brad Gould go off the track right in front of him. However, Telker's got himself involved in a battle with himself and Mitchell behind. So these two battling for that final spot inside the top 30. And going back to the point you mentioned a couple of moments ago, Stevie, about the fact that there's very few series where you could have a driver being like, oh yeah, they're battling for 30th, but they are by no means last.
Yeah, no, this is one of the great leagues. These guys make the league, and I keep saying it every week, week in and week out. It's the guys on track, these guys that show up every week, the racing they do. There's incidents that happen like we had at the first of the race. You put that many cars on track, something's going to happen. But I don't think you can find a better group of people, the more respectable. They try their best, and that's all we ask. When you come out in this big a group of people, you try your best, and they do. But I just want to point out, take a look at who has the fastest lap of the race right now.
Yeah, we're looking here. I just went off of him, and we will get back to him if I can get to it. Oh man, there's so many people here. Give me 1 second.
Some more drivers already coming down pit lane involving Guido Marzuki. I will stop.
I'll find it. There you go. Adam
Bradshaw.
Bradshaw. I got him in 20th place. He has a 17.050. Fastest by quite a bit, actually. Well, when I say quite a bit for a Spec race or Ford race, it is quite a bit. He's almost into the 116s. He is very, very close to breaking that 116 mark. So Adam Bradshaw still putting in the laps. But I say that, and look at what's happened. Even with Adam Bradshaw with that fastest lap of the race, Andrea Favini has dispatched of both of them. And he has gone up now 37 positions, absolutely on a flyer.
Yep.
Favini still running very, very strong in this race. He did lose out on a couple of spots, but now back up into 18th. 37 positions gained, though, was still absolutely insane. Only in the Weekend Warriors and only in the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors, which you can catch every single Sunday here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. But we don't have a lot of time left to go in this race, which I think is some news that is helping all of our computers. So if you've heard some faint hissing throughout this broadcast, just a faint in the background throughout this broadcast, that is my PC smoke. It's turned into a fog machine at this point. Yeah. Usually my room gets really smoky whenever I'm on the air just from the smoke coming out of my ears, but no, it's actually coming from my computer today, so nice little change of pace. Speaking of change of pace, though, Yanchi Lin has certainly changed the fate of this race, as he's going to be taking the white flag in a couple of moments and on track for a win. However, that gap, as I've been going on this small little menagerie of a spiel here, it's actually decreased between himself and Felix Samoas. It's still second coming to the white flag, though, so it may not be enough.
We're going to keep an eye on that, okay? I promise you we will keep an eye on this battle, but we have closer battles now that we've crossed the white flag. Danil Manite, one more time.
Manikov.
Danil Manikov, Stevie, thank you, is in a battle right now with Austin Winter. These two are still nose to tail. Obviously, hopefully no bad blood there after what happened, but Manikov and Winter still in a battle. And then we can go back just a little further and just look at, speaking of Hornet's Nest, look at what's happening back here, Ron.
Holy cow, falling Paul Regoli involved in all that. Look at that. That's a terrifying perspective to find yourself involved in. You got Brad Cathcart and Jorg Monty battling for P2, the Masters Racers. Holy cow, my voice is already giving out.
Dan Witzak and Matt Thompson, though. Look at this. Look what's happening here. Dan Witzak and Matt Thompson are going to be, hopefully, battling here very, very quickly. Witzak is right on Matt Thompson's butt for the Spec 2 win.
Yeah, this is really, really intense between these two racers, nearly coming to blows. To look at Jorg Monty in that 925 car, gonna get involved in this, backing Thompson slightly into the front of Witzak. Witzak trying to go for a second win this season. Thompson going for his first. Yanchi Lin's gonna be winning it though, but our attention is certainly on this battle for the win in the Spec 2 category. They've got one more corner left to go after this one. However, Witzak going wide. That's not gonna help him out at all. He may pick up a slowdown as a result of that, which would certainly ice it for Matt Thompson. However, let's wait and see. Coming out of the final corner, let's see if it's a good exit from Witzak or if Thompson's going to hang on. He's got the draft, and it's going to be Thompson holding on to take the Spec 2 win. Antonio Reese won it in the Masters, and Yanchi Lin took the checkered flag. It was only 0.6 of a second between Lin and Felix Samos. You can tell that's a little bit surprising based off the fact my voice shot up like 3 octaves a couple of moments ago. But that was a rather close finish between those two. A little bit surprising considering the gap they had after the pit stops.
Yep, Phil Berry, Jim Brewster going at it as well, but it looks like Jim is going to get the best of Phil on this occasion. Joshua Wilkie finishes right ahead of him. Looking back to see if there's any more battles. There's a close-ish one between Andrew Love and Michelle Lynn. It looks like Michelle Lynn's going to get the best of Andrew Love here. Andrew comes home 30th with Michelle in 29th. Scrolling back just a little more, and I believe that's it. The rest of the drivers are already a lap down, and well, that one went by way quicker than what seemed like 40 minutes, Ron.
Easy for us to say. Our graphics cards, on the other hand, oh boy, they are going to be not very happy with us at all. I gotta say, honestly, I may need to duck out of this broadcast early just because the hamster that runs in the wheel that runs my computer, he's starting to run out of food and water. So I may need to go and help him out here because that was. We nearly just saw some aerial acrobatics with Jason Green giving a bump. Let's wait for the jumps here. This is going to be the Weekend Warriors special. This is going to be fantastic.
Oh, it looks like actually Jason Green is trying to push. What's happening? Oh yeah, they were out of fuel. Oh my goodness, and there we go.
Oh, and flow. Oh my God, that was Paul Jackson coming in for the kill. And those two cars were briefly. Oh, and oh my God, Jorg Monty just came in for the kill.
Oh, that was good stuff. But Ron, here we go. You got through the grid. Can you get through the results, buddy?
I'm not sure if I can with this chaos going on in the back of the shot. Oh, and look at that Favini tumbling. I mean, he's still somersaulting. There we go. Favini, the hard charger in the race, and giving us some nice aerial acrobatics at the end of it. And Yanchi Lin, and a very violent kiss between those two. And oh, look at that. That's more tumbling going on. Michelle Lin involved in that. More
Warriors provide some of the best entertainment racing as well as afterwards. So. We're the best. Yeah.
I think only in the Weekend Warriors will I blow my vocal cords out covering the fantastic racing action and then give myself a burst blood vessel in my eye looking at the chaos and laughing so hard. I think I might get six-pack abs laughing by some of this stuff. Oh, boy. Breath, I can do this. Yanchi Lin. Actually, Stevie, you want to get a word in edgewise before I go off on this spiel?
No, you're good. It's like I said, these guys are great. The Weekend Warriors are going to provide you with some of the best racing you've ever seen, and then some of the most entertaining stuff afterwards.
The absolute spectacle of a Spec Racer Ford tumbling like it's made out of Play-Doh is absolutely unbelievable. But here we go. Speaking of unbelievable participation from round number 5 of this Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warrior season here for season 1 of 2025. And when everything is said and done, Yanchi Lin will take the checkered flag, your winner. Only 0.6 of a second between himself and Felix Samoas when everything was said and done. The 30 and the 31 covered by nothing. Felix Samoas yet again coming oh so close. close to taking a second checkered flag, but it will not be. Trent Kramer, though, very happy about running out your podium in third. You only have to go 0.4 of a second back to find your Masters winner of Antonio Reese, who finishes this race in the 914 car, P4 overall. Austin winner, not going to be the winner here today. Instead, he runs at your top 5. Daniel Manikov going to finish in 6th. Second tries a charm on that pronunciation. Claudio Gradini going to finish in 7th. I feel like I've been mispronouncing his name every single time. Claudio Gardini. There we go. In the 33 car, going to finish in 7th. Second tries a charm on that one as well. Brad Cathcart will finish in 8th. Paul Regoli ends up in 9th. Jörg Mani going to round out your top 10. So it's not going to be a third straight win for him in this Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors season in the Masters category. Matt Thompson, though, going to take his first in the Spec 2 category. He finishes in P11 overall. Dan Witzak in 12th, Soren Garrett in 13th, Chris Murakami in 14th, Lucas Clement going to round out your top 15. Daniel Wood ends up in 16th, Flavio Andallo in 17th. Andre Favini finishes this race in P18, picking up the Hard Charger Award in the process. Marcus Burkett and Jacob Kasich going to round out your top 20. Then we have Paolo Brema in 21st, Josh Wilkie in 22nd, Jim Brewster in 23rd, Phil Berry in 24th, Jesus Rodriguez in 25th. I feel like I've been saying 20th and 30th back and forth here. I apologize for that if that is the case. Jesus Rodriguez in 25th, Russ Telker in 26th, Stephen Mitchell in 27th, Brad Gould in 28th, Michelle Lynn, another hard charger from this race, started in 15th, ends up in 29th. Then Andrew Love going to round out your top 30. Guido Marzuki in 31st, Daniel Salmon in 32nd, Jason Green in 33rd, Tom Gradwell in 34th, Paul Jackson in 35th, Mario Kremser finishes in 36th. Derek Putnam in 37th. Ben Rycroft in 38th. Patrick Farragher in 39th. And Adam Bradshaw will round out your top 40. Sergio Dorelli in 41st. It does not end. Michelle Voglini in 42nd. Benjamin Fultz, who I don't think we talked about all throughout that race in the number 88 car, ends up in 43rd. Scott Russell finishes in 44th. Lincoln Fox in 45th. Sol Al-Shutwi ends up in 46th. Evandro Dantas in 47th. Ed Allen in 48th, Michael Nelson in 49th, Joachim Osbeck going to round out your top 50. We have Jason Perry in 51st, Josh Arnold in 52nd, Charlie Vaccaro in 53rd, Ken Boland going to finish in 41st, Jan Janschik in 55th, Ken Poulin in 56th, Hayden Bramley in 57th, and Boris Estman going to round out 58 cars that are classified for round number 5 of the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors season. We got some drivers waiting in the interview waiting area, looking to have a chat with us. And after 3 minutes and 10 seconds going through that, I'll pass it back off to you guys before my vocal cords completely explode.
Well, I know who I want to talk to, and it's going to be a pleasure to talk to this guy. Matt, you got us? I hope you got us. Hey!
Looks like it goes.
Hello, Matt. Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Oh, doing all right.
Good,
good.
good.
A little tired. Tired.
Yeah. I was going to ask, how's your day?
Started yesterday morning.
Oh, yeah.
Up the 24 Daytona with Ed's group on P4 in GTP. So.
Well, that's awesome, man. Congrats to you and Frito Sport. Obviously, Ed was in here just a little while ago and having a bit of a he was trying to pump you up a little bit, but I don't think you needed much pumping up, Matt. You did a great job today. You came home 11th overall. You came home first, obviously, in the Spec 2, which is why I'm talking to you now, man. Walk us through the race. Walk us through that first lap. Walk us through, I mean, when you've got 58 cars in the field, man, it's just going to be chaos throughout.
Yeah. Well, first a shout out to Jason Perry for the draft in quali. He took Brad and I up to 8 and 9 in quali, so that was mostly him. I appreciate that. I was trying to give him a draft second lap when ran into traffic and spun out. So, but first lap, man, it was crazy. Just basically the same strategy I've been using all day. Sit back, don't die. Watch everybody else spin. Try not to spin yourself.
Well, you did good. You did great, actually. Obviously, you're taking home first place right now. This is your first win in Spec 2 this season. This is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen you anywhere around the Weekend Warriors this season. Is this your first race this year?
No, I ran Zolder.
Okay.
Didn't get a great quality, but it turned out pretty good with the race. I felt like I was top 20 or so. So,
Well, Matt, the reason I wanted to talk to you so much, and sorry, Stevie, I'm going to try to cross-promote here just a little bit, but
Go for it.
there's a guy named Randall McGrew,
Mhm.
and that guy runs American Muscle Series, and I met most of you, well, when I say most of you, American Muscle Series guys, I met Edgar, Matt Malone, a bunch of different drivers in there. So first of all, it's great to see you over here. And my next question to you is, Matt, American Muscle Series will be broadcast again on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Are you going to be running? That's coming up very, very soon.
Oh yeah, we ran the first practice race on Tuesday for the season. Looking forward to that. After that I came second behind Chuck in Challenger last season, and really looking forward to that. That's my car. I drive an S197 on the track in real life, so
Well,
that's what I'm here for.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I am super excited to see you again in the field. Obviously, I wasn't here last week, but to see your name, Matt, I just had to get you in here to interview you, man. It is so great to talk to you again and so great to see you. And anybody you want to thank or shout out before we let you go?
Oh, big shout out to Ed for all the work he's done with me and the whole Frito Sport team over the last couple of years. It's been awesome. Really brought me a long ways. Shout out to Randall for AMS. Shout out to Stevie for Weekend Warriors and club racing. These are great leagues. Love them.
Well, Matt, thank you so much, man. And I hope to be talking to you again soon.
Yeah, thank you.
That was Matt Thompson there in the winner of Spec 2. And as you can see, even my replays, when all of those shenanigans were going on at the beginning, my GPU, my CPU, my computer just can't handle it, Ron. So we'll get through that. But we've got someone else here, Ron. Which one do you want?
Looking through, we got a lot of options up there in the interview waiting area. I think the man that I'm going to bring in to have a quick little chat. Actually, I will invoke something from the other Racing Line podcast. Stevie, would you like to have a chat with a race winner of Yanqi Lin? I'm definitely not doing this just so I can give my voice a little bit of a break.
Okay.
All right. Well,
I'm
we got Yanqi Lin in here. Yanqi, welcome in, buddy. You're getting another interview, buddy. It just happened on the Racing Line a couple weeks ago. It's going to happen again. Yanqi, meet Stevie Ray.
I mean, I've met him a million times already.
Hey, Yonksy, good to see you, bud. Congrats on the win. I told him about 2/3 of the way in when things were sorting out that once you took the lead, the way you saved fuel and your pit stops, that it was your race to lose, and you proved me right. So congrats on the win, bud.
Oh, that's thanks. But I mean, one reason I really like Summit Point was because it always provides some very intense close racing. I think there was some miscommunication in the front. Let's say it was not how I envisioned the race to play out, but I'll take it.
Yeah, they had that incident there in turn one, and the seas kind of parted, and you ducked to the inside and took the lead, and I think that was race over right there.
Yeah, but man, Felix definitely put up a challenge on me toward the end. He was lapping probably a tenth per lap faster than me. If the race had gone a little longer, I think he would get me.
Yeah, Felix pretty fast. I saw that gap, and for a while he was like right about the edge of the draft time, and I thought, well, if he gets in there, he's going to catch you just a little bit. But I expected you to kind of maintain that, and you proved me right. So once again, bud, congrats on the win today. Where are we next week? Let's see here.
Good question. I should probably check that too, Stevie.
Silverstone. Yeah. You going to be there?
I will be at the Daytona International Speedway.
Oh, you lucky guy.
Awesome.
So I was skipping Silverstone, but I think I'll just be there and relax.
Well, you got to share pics with us on Facebook and everything, or it didn't happen, right?
Yeah, I sure will.
All right, bud. Thanks again for all your support through the years and the seasons and all the leagues and anybody you want to give a shout out to.
I mean, obviously, thank everyone in the booth for broadcasting the race. Thank you for organizing the league, Stevie. And yeah, I think that's about it.
All right, bud.
All
Again,
right.
thanks, and congrats, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks then.
Yeah, see you on the race.
Hopefully, I'll have a computer by then.
I think you'll have a computer by the end of the day, Stevie. Trust me.
All right.
All right, Yanchi. Thank you
All
so
right.
much, buddy, and it's good to talk to you again. And congrats on your P1. Something that almost happened. It should have happened a lot sooner, but congrats, man.
Thank you.
That was Yanchi Lin there. Ron, we've got 2 more. I'll give you one, and then I'll take the next one. How's that sound?
Alrighty, sounds good. We got Antonio Reese and Trent Kramer up there. Would you want to take Reese or do you want to take Kramer?
Hey, man, you tell me. You tell me.
one
It's
out.
but they're both great people.
I'll bring in Antonio Reese because it's
They
been a
all
little
are.
while since I had a chat with him, and I think probably the best way to do that is after a Masters win here at Summit Point. Antonio, welcome into the commentary booth, and well done on taking the Masters win here at Summit Point. Talk us through it.
Antonio!
Hello, have you been cursing me on Formula V and Formula Ray? I
Uh-oh.
was
I
crashing.
know.
Uh-oh. Somebody got
Okay.
called out.
Well, we call the broadcasters curse. Yeah, right.
Yes.
Well, broadcast.
Well,
yeah.
I believe it was not. I was just.
It was Ron. It's definitely Ron's
okay,
fault.
so yeah,
Yeah,
let's talk about
it
this
is
race.
mine.
Yeah, well, I was expecting to have a good race since I was practicing in official races and I was doing quite well. So I was kind of having some hope for this race. At least it could go until the end without die. Yeah, that's the problem. That's the good thing for me. Survive.
Well, Antonio, so we're watching a replay right now, and I don't know what corner it is. It's a left-hander downhill after the very, very fast right. And in that replay, you're behind Jason Green, and you almost lost it. And we saw a few times that car just seemed to be extremely loose or oversteery, which is a new thing for the SRFs this season, man. I'm sorry, Ron, I took him from you. You can have him back. But, I mean, how was the handling of this car, at least for you? It looks like you were struggling with it out there a little bit.
Yeah, I like it more than before since you can manage, you can like control the throttle pedal more than before. So you need to be more gentle with throttle pedal. So, and then also it's more easy to make mistakes because the modulation of the throttle pedal on this season it's very accurate and you cannot just do mistakes when you're throttling. And then also when braking is same with the new tire model. So there is a mix of braking and throttling. So on the exit and on the entrance, so you have to kind of deal with all. But I really like the new model, so I'm so happy they did that in iRacing.
Yeah, I can tell. I mean, obviously it took you to a win, so congrats. But Ron, you can have him back now. Sorry, I took him from you.
That's quite all right, man. That was a very good question to ask of our Masters winner, Antonio Reese. Your first checkered flag of the season and a pretty good racetrack to do it at as well. Gonna be running at another track that starts with S, that being Silverstone in 1 week's time, Antonio. So what are your thoughts heading into that one in 1 week's time?
Oh, that's the draft track. Just keep the draft. There is no skill need, I think.
Hey, maybe getting some flashbacks to Spa a couple of weeks ago. It's like driving through the drive-through of like a McDonald's or something, rolling down the window, like a nice large bag of drafting,
driving.
and that's it.
Yeah.
Overgrown Thruxton.
Yes.
Yeah, Truxton. Well, don't talk to me about Truxton.
Well, we'll hold off on mentioning Thruxton. I don't think it's going to be a part of this Spec Racer Forward schedule. So good news for you there, Antonio. But thank you very
guys.
much for joining us at the commentary booth.
Thank
Well
you
done
for
on
having
Masters
me.
win.
Nice to be with you once again.
Well-
And, a true professional there got the thanks and shout outs before I could even ask if you want to give anyone any thanks or shout outs.
Yeah, sure. I always say Steve Ray first, and then the broadcast. The slow motion.
Wait a minute, Antonio. Why does Stevie have to be first?
Because Steve is the guy with the most long time, 10 years managing.
Oh, he
managing
might
this.
have a lot of time, but I'm better.
But he also is a very nice guy. He knows well how to manage things.
He's
He's very skilled administrator, I would say.
well. This
you also Adam. I'm not taking it from you.
No,
so
no.
I put you both on the same boat. I would say like that.
All right, Antonio. All right, Antonio. The check's in the mail, but appreciate you, my friend.
Okay,
Appreciate you, my
Stevie.
friend.
Oh,
Good to hear
Antonio.
your voice.
Thank you so much, Antonio, for the
All
awesome
right,
interview.
thanks.
And yeah, it was great
I'm
to see you.
happy.
Great to see you finally
Great
take
to
a
see
win
you
here.
too, guys.
Yeah,
Can't
absolutely.
wait to be in USA to visit you.
Well, I hope so. And wherever you end up in the
All
USA,
right.
I think Stevie and I, depending on
Definitely.
I heard Reno's pretty
Yeah.
nice, but if you find your way down to Stevie's instead, I can definitely find a way to get down there, Antonio. But thank you. Go
We'll
ahead.
get you here. We'll get you here,
Yeah.
Adam.
Thank you so much, Antonio.
Okay.
I
Hey,
took
guys,
you
I
away
don't
from
take your
Ron,
time.
but yeah, I
I
will
know you're very busy.
I'll
Yeah.
hopefully talk to you next week.
All right. Let's go.
See you later, buddy.
Bye-bye. Take care. Yep.
Congrats, Antonio.
That was Antonio Reese, and yeah, this has been a very, very fun broadcast, to say the least. Ron, it was great to have a guy in here that's been doing this for quite a long time, and a guy that I can call my friend as well, Stevie. So thank you so much for joining us, and I don't mean this in the wrong way, okay? I don't take this the wrong way, but I hope I see you on track next week instead of the broadcast booth. So after this broadcast is over, let's try to get you back on track.
All right, bud. I appreciate the help, and I understand. I stepped on too many toes during the broadcast, so I'll be better on the tracks. Thanks, bud. Appreciate you letting me join you in the booth today. It was a lot of fun. It was really, truly a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
That was nice to have you in the commentary booth as well, Stevie. And I'll have to you can send me the bill for the Excedrin that you may have to take after sharing a commentary booth with me for the past hour, in the same way that I may have to pay you for a bag of cough drops after this broadcast. But still,
Right. You got it.
thank you for everything you do as well, Stevie. It's very interesting because, I mean, you're obviously a series admin for all the stuff. Of course, kind of started off on the Weekend Warriors and Ray Esports stuff when it was over on the different broadcasts that we will not
You
mention
can
by
say
name,
it.
but-
You can say it, Ron.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt my feelings.
Exit Curb Radio Broadcasting Company. Yes, so they're it's been nice being a part of the Weekend Warriors, and strangely enough, in a couple of months I was looking through it, and it was March 19th of 2023 when I did my first ever Weekend Warriors broadcast, which fittingly had
Wow.
58 hours. So it's been
Awesome.
nice to see the series regrow in the momentum and having that fantastic participation all throughout that. Nice to see some great winners as well. We'll mention Antonio talking about visiting Adam, going to Reno, the land that time remembered. But Adam, this was a fantastic race from start to finish, and despite the fact that my vocal cords are hanging on by their last thread, that was absolutely fantastic.
It was, man. And the other thing that's hanging on by his last thread is my CPU at this point, GPU, everything. My whole computer's about to blow up right now. 58 cars around Summit Point, 58 Spec Racer Fords even around Summit Point, which makes it even more crazy because when you go to officials, you don't see this turnout that you saw this afternoon for the Weekend Warriors. So it was just unbelievable to see all of these drivers all come together for one race, and I hope to see it again. But yeah, it was something that I'm going to remember for quite a while. Unbelievable race, great commentary team as well. So yeah, it was all good, Ron, all good.
We got a fantastic schedule of races to look forward to as we ring in the second half in the not too far off future. We got Silverstone next week for round number 6, Winton, Donington Park, Suzuka, VIR, Cadwell, and Road Atlanta to bring this season 1 of 2025 to a conclusion. A lot of stuff coming up here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Gives you more reason to subscribe, and also hit that notification bell and hit the like button on the stream as well so you never miss out on any of the racing action. But I think before we have have any amateur PC pyrotechnics, that will just about do it from this broadcast. And so for myself, Ron Mullins, Adam Thompson working with me on today's broadcast in the commentary booth and the virtual production hauler, and our special guest of Stevie Ray joining us as well, I say thank you all so very much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too far off future.
Bye, Tam.
Bye, guys.
Tackle 40 minutes of racing action, a 40-minute race set to have a whole lot of stuff to worry about if you are these racers. Have to worry about the pit stop. Inside your screen, switched his attention to the massive pack of race cars that's going to blow his doors off and blow off the starter stand. The green flag is out, the drivers are on their way. Locked throughout this race, the grass and the gravel that lines this racetrack. It's old school, so it doesn't have a whole lot of asphalt runoff area. But so he's a very talented racer of his own. These two fast. He grabs very early on into this race, looking Danny Wood at a big crash, heading through turn number 1. That's chasing that turn number 4. And here we go, side-by-side racing off into the corner. This can usually end in tears. One of these drivers is going to have to back out of it. That's going to be Randall. But Martin's still allowing some room coming out of the corner. The side-by-side going up the hill through turn number 6. Spade coming out of the corner. Walker, the Canadian, in the number 96. They are banging doors, heading into the braking time for the final time. They're linked together. Going on there. Better you put a qualifying fuel load in either way. Getting a whole lot of pressure side by side with himself, and that is
now coming out of the pits. Let's see what his pit lane time is, because this is going to be very important when Yanchi wins.
I don't know what to say. Oh, there's Brett Cathcart upside down. And another driver coming in. That's Jeff Jacobson upside down. Oh, boy.